Hello and welcome to Beyond the Corporate Hangover with me, Emily Derschler. If you are a woman in your 30s or beyond and have left a lengthy spell in corporate to set up an online business and are feeling stuck, I'm here to help. In this podcast, we'll be digging into what it takes to go from employee to entrepreneur and build an amazing business that showcases your unique expertise. We'll look at the challenges women face, those limiting beliefs and behaviours from our corporate life that keep holding us back, and I'll provide practical ways to help you move forwards as a confident business owner. So if you are feeling overwhelmed, worried or confused about how to make your business a success, and you want to shake off the corporate hangover, tune in every fortnight. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello and welcome back to Beyond the Corporate Hangover. Now, I have got a very special guest in the studio today, and I would go so far as to say I'm in the presence of greatness, in all honesty. Sarah Pocklington is here. Hello, Sarah. Welcome.
Hello, Emily. Thank you for having me today.
That's my
I'm curious about this greatness.
It's my absolute pleasure. I've actually got a formal introduction about Sarah, which I'm going to share in just a second. But before I do that, I do just want to mention that at time of recording, we are in the midst of a very intense heat wave. We're a bit sweaty today, and we've got our squash. I've got my apple and blackcurrant here, which I'm not afraid to use, and Sarah's got her drink as well. We're being very sensible, taking all the precautions. So if you hear us slurping, that's because we're staying hydrated, because neither one of us is prepared to pass out during this recording. So yes, it is a little bit on the warm side, but we're going to power through it. We're going to get through this recording because I know that Sarah has got some very exciting insights to share. So I'm going to introduce you formally, Sarah.
Thank
and
you.
Here we go. Sarah Pocklington spent over 30 years working in learning and development before turning her focus to something a lot of people dread, being on camera. Through talks and workshops, Sarah helps managers and HR teams challenge their assumptions about camera behaviour, build their own confidence on camera, and help their remote teams show up and engage without forcing anyone to switch theirs on. Sarah was a finalist for the Professional Speaking Association UK and Ireland Emerging Speaker of the Year 2026 and recently delivered her talk, Lights, Camera, Awkward, The Real Reasons People Avoid the Camera, at Brighton SEO. So that's what I mean by being in the presence of greatness, and I am not going to lie, I feel a little bit nervous right now, Sarah. So how am I doing, first of all?
Well, first of all, congratulations. You are on camera, you are showing up. And for a lot of people, they're not even getting that far. And we worry so much about what we're going to look like that sometimes that literally gets in the way of us making progress and taking our businesses forward. But no, you're doing a great job.
I'm taking that from a pro. We've got it on camera, folks. Immortalized. It's all good. No, really, really great. So, Sarah, I know there's so much you're going to share with us today, and I'm very excited to dive in. And what I'd love to know, first of all, is about your own experience of being on camera. Where did this all start for you?
Well, to be honest, it was a bit of a shock. It was a bit of an accident. It was when I discovered the whole camera thing, it was completely unexpected. And the reason I discovered it is I realised I didn't like it.
Oh.
I spent my entire career designing and delivering workshops all over the country, everything from 2 people. I've spoken in front of 10,000 people. I've been on the stage, I've been at the front, you've been in the room with people and you get all the energy and the visual, non-verbal cues and all this sort of stuff. And then I trained to be a coach, and it was just as we were in the pandemic, we were all getting used to being on camera, and I was in a business mentoring group. And the business mentor, for a marketing challenge, she challenged us to go on camera live into the Facebook group for up to 15 minutes. And anyone who did that got a special bonus. And there were lots of women in this group. I think there was about 100 women in the group altogether, and almost none of us were actually going on the camera at this point. And I thought, there's a bonus. I want the bonus. I'm going to give it a go. And I thought, well, how hard can it be? I spent all these years delivering training. You know, it's just doing the same thing, but I'm doing it from at home. And then I came to do it. I prepared my session. I got myself all ready, and I went to click record, and I'm literally looking at the camera like I'm looking at it now, and I'm going like, there's nobody there. Nobody's going to listen. Nobody's going to want to know. And I felt physically sick. And it took me about 20 minutes to actually press record the first time. And this was for something that I'd prepared. It was a topic I knew about. It was going to be a friendly audience because it was people in the group. And it took me 20 minutes to get to that point. And afterwards, after I'd done it, I was like, oh my God, I enjoyed that so much. I got really good feedback. And I started to think, what was different? Why did I not like being on camera when I'm very happy to stand up in front of hundreds of people? What was the difference? And it was all sorts of things. It was that lack of connection, not being able to see people, because I didn't have anyone on screen like we've got now. I was literally talking to a black screen, talking into a camera. Is there anybody there? Does anybody care? Not getting the interaction and the response. And that's really where it started, because the more I talked to particularly female business owners, which is where I started with this, the more I realised how much the camera can be a barrier, and how many people are holding themselves back, being held back, however you want to phrase it, by this sense of, oh, I don't want to be on camera, I don't like seeing myself, I look rubbish on camera. And it really does hold you back. And I've subsequently moved into the corporate space because it's becoming a real issue in corporate, where team meetings, you're managing a remote team and half the team haven't got their cameras on. What's that about? What's going on? You know, things can escalate very quickly.
Gosh, there's so much to unpack already. So many great things that you've just said. Oh my goodness. So why is it important to be on camera in the first place? So you mentioned obviously that people feel very uncomfortable about it. It's not something that comes naturally to most of us. So why is it important to do it at all?
Ultimately, it's about visibility. It's about accepting that we've moved into a world where we can speak to people across the country, across the globe. We could speak to I was on a call with somebody in Australia last week on a video call, and we were able to create a very similar connection because we were able to see each other on camera. So cameras are there, and if we use them as a tool, then it becomes much easier. But when we avoid them, we are missing out on opportunities to be seen, opportunities to connect, opportunities to attract clients, to show our expertise. And for me, the one that I always go back to is remember during the pandemic when we were all separated from our family, a lot of us were separated from our families. We bought my mum and dad a Kindle Fire shortly before the pandemic. And we taught my mum and dad, who were in their 80s, to use the video function on Facebook. And so that meant I could call my mum on Facebook and have a Facebook call with her on camera. I could see how she was. I could pick up on, is she telling me the truth, or that kind of stuff. And also I could surprise her because, I wasn't expecting a call, and I could make a difference to her day, because as humans, we really connect when we can see each other. And from a business point of view, if you can't be in the room, being on camera, being visible on camera is the next best thing.
Oh, that is so important, isn't it? And you're so right about being able to read people's emotions and being able to connect with people on a much, much deeper level. And also I think there's a trust thing as well in there. If you can see somebody, if you can sort of look somebody in the eyes almost, and you can read their facial expressions, it makes such a massive difference, doesn't it? Yeah, no, that's so interesting. So let's talk about confidence on camera, because being on camera is one thing, and being confident on camera is something else. So how, and I think particularly as women, being on camera. I think that's something that perhaps we struggle with a little bit
Mm-hmm.
more. I mean, I might be way off the mark here, but I get the sense that's the case. But why? How can we? How can we be more confident on camera? What is the trick? Is there a trick? Is there a magic way that we can suddenly do this overnight? How do we get there?
Okay, the only way to be confident in any situation is to do it, is to experiment and try it. I'm not confident in water, so I don't go swimming. The way to get confident in water, maybe go have swimming lessons, learn to swim, get used to being in the water. You know, it builds confidence. So the only way to get confident is to actually do something. It doesn't happen by, I can't give you a bucket of confidence. You can't wish it upon yourself. You actually have to take action. And finding a way to do it that works for you. And a lot of it does come down to the voices in our heads and the stories that we are telling ourselves when it comes to confidence. I'm too old for this. I'm not the sort of person that shows up on camera. I don't like seeing myself on camera. I might forget my words. What if people judge me? There's a whole conversation to go on, and you're absolutely right. Your sense about women in particular being impacted by cameras is true. There are workplace studies that have been done that show that 1 in 7 women report excessive camera fatigue and anxiety as a result of being on cameras in meetings at work.
Wow.
So if you've got somebody, I know in your audience, who maybe's recently come out of corporate, they might still be having that, oh, I've got to be seen and I've got to look a particular way and I've got to have my camera on and I've got to do all of this. So all of those voices are going on in addition to, I don't actually like being on camera. I don't want to see my face. But the way to get over it is to start doing it. And one of the things that somebody said to me very early on when I was first becoming self-employed, I'd moved out of corporate, I was training as a coach. It was like, I have to forget about me and think about who I'm giving the message to.
I love that.
If you're programmed currently to look a particular way because that's what you were in corporate, but that's not you, what we want is you showing up on camera, not the corporate you. But that might mean being brave and not putting your makeup on. But if having your makeup on gives you confidence, then put your makeup on. There's no rule book. There's no, if you don't want to wear makeup, don't wear it. I put a little bit on today because I associate doing something like recording a podcast or delivering a talk as me being on stage. So it's part of me getting ready to be on stage. It's part of getting myself ready and feeling confident. But I don't always put makeup on. Depends who I'm talking to. It depends on the nature of the conversation. It depends on how I'm feeling. So put simply, find a way to do it that works for you.
Yeah.
Do it and show up as yourself. And we had this conversation the other day when we were planning the podcast around, if you, let's say you want to work with women who maybe feel like they've lost a bit of themselves and they're not as young and slim and they're feeling their age and all this sort of thing, but you show up on your podcast and your video feed, the stuff that you do, as this perfectly coiffed, got it all together kind of person, that's not not going to attract your audience.
That's so true. Yeah, that's so true.
They're looking for you, but if they don't see themselves in you, and it's having the confidence to know that that's what people are looking for.
I love that. Yeah, being mindful of who you're talking to, I think is probably something that we don't pay enough attention to. We almost kind of dismiss it as not being important, whereas actually it's probably the most important thing to consider. But also I really resonate with your point about leaving corporate and still showing up on camera sort of suited and booted. And this is a whole identity shift, isn't it? Because, my audience is women who've left corporate, set up on their own and are having to discover who they are now that they've left this previous life, where perhaps they've only ever known this identity of being this particular job description, let's say, and now all of a sudden they're doing their own thing, and it's, who am I now? So you're right, it's about, am I still that person that is suited and booted, or am I actually somebody who wears a hoodie and, you know, just has a very much more relaxed approach to things? And that's so important. You know, we have to mirror who we are, really. And I love that. And just for the record, Sarah, I didn't put any makeup on today because I knew that it was just going to slide off my face in 5 minutes. So I did not bother, because I just thought, no, it's just not worth doing. So fortunately I can adjust all the colours and the saturation, so it's all good. I'll make myself look 20 years younger, no problem. Anyway, we digress. But no, that's so important. I really, really loved your advice as well, just doing it, because you're right. Confidence comes after doing the thing. And I say this a lot, and I repeat myself a lot, but I think it's something that's really worth repeating over and over and over again. We don't get confident before we do something. We get confident as a result of doing something. And the more we do that something, the more confident we get. So, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I think to sum up then, because I think what you've shared already is really, really valuable. What are your kind of, and I think you kind of shared some of them already, but your top tips for a beginner? Where does somebody who's never appeared on camera before, or who is a real kind of somebody who's really worried about it, what are the things that they should be doing now to really get the ball rolling, to really help them make it work?
Okay, it very much depends on the person. So what I don't want to be is prescriptive and say, if you do these 5 things, you will feel confident on camera, because we are all individual. We've all got our own little stories running in our heads. But first thing you can do, and probably what most people are doing already, is if you got one of these, that's all you need to get started.
And when you say one of these, just for those who are listening, you're talking about a mobile phone.
The mobile phone. Yep. So I've got my mobile phone here. It's not the most up-to-date version. It does, I mean, it has a good camera, but it has everything that I need to get started. And this is where I started really with when I was experimenting with what I was going to do on camera, and record something. Just go in, record, say, hello, my name is Sarah Pocklington and I live at, that kind of very old fashioned thing. You don't have to send it anywhere, but just record it. And do that a few times. Now you might feel a bit silly. You might feel a bit dull. What if I accidentally stream this? It's like, well, you're not going to send it anywhere unless you're actually on one of the social media platforms. And while I'm on the topic of social media, it's about pick which platform works for you and your message. You do not have to be on all of them. You do not have to be on any of them. Maybe we're talking about you being confident on video as part of a recruitment process, because interviews are quite often done online now. So how to be more confident for an interview, how to be more confident in an online networking situation. So we're not just talking about social media, but because just about everybody has a phone, that's a really good place to start practicing, and you can delete them straight away. And don't get too hung up on the technical side of it. Just say what comes into your mind. Don't worry. We have actually restarted this podcast today. Full disclosure, we got 4 minutes in on the first recording and I completely dried up, so we started again. It happens. It's not the end of the world. And if I hadn't just told the audience that, nobody else would know. But I've chosen to share that because it's honest. So you don't have to share things you don't want to. You don't have to go into your deepest, darkest secrets. You don't have to, it's totally up to you what you share. But pick up your phone, record something, play it back. Because until you actually start practicing, you won't know whether or not you like it or not. When it comes to doing it on the PC, so let's say you're going to a networking event and you're really excited and you've got yourself ready and you're going to an online networking event and you get in there and there's 25 images on the screen and you're up there in the top corner and you keep looking at yourself and you're very distracted by your... Check that you're on camera like we are now, and then switch off your self view. Whatever platform you're in, switch off your self-view. Studies show that it's like sitting there with a mirror in front of you, and the brain just doesn't like it. Switch off your self-view and concentrate.
That's so interesting. I've never done that, and I probably am guilty of looking at myself far too much. I'm not vain, but you're right. We are drawn to look at ourselves, aren't we? That's so true.
Yeah, and it increases the cognitive overload and the stress that comes with it. So switch off your self-view, and rather than looking at the 25 people that are on the screen, it varies from platform to platform, but you can set it so you only see the person that's speaking. And then you've got a bigger image, and you can pick up on more of those cues, and you're less likely to miss something, and you're not being distracted by they've got a cat and they've got their laundry and this person looks absolutely terrified and what on earth's going on down there. So pin the speaker, switch off the self view, take time to get ready beforehand so you are ready, whether that's a bit of breathing, bit of meditation. We talked about makeup and hair and maybe the outfit that you choose. Take time to get yourself ready. And what do you want to get out of being on camera that day? If it's in a network meeting, is it new connections? Is it a potential invitation to a podcast like we're doing today? If it's a job interview, well, it's to get the job. So how would you present yourself in person? How do you bring that energy and personality? Because something else to be aware of when we're on camera is that we lose something like 50% of our energy when it's transmitted through the airwaves. So as I'm talking to you now, some of the energy, if you were in the room with me, you would be feeling a different energy. So we do need to be a bit more animated, a bit more energetic. So my tip, which I often use as a challenge, is to stand up instead of sit down.
And I think you are standing up right now.
Anyway, I am standing up right now. Yeah.
You practice what you preach.
If you experiment with it, you sit down. When we were children, what was the message we got? Sit down and shut up. Sit down and sit still. Stand up. And studies also show that allowing yourself to move, but obviously I'm not going to move lots because I'll go off camera, but just allowing yourself a bit of freedom to move, it keeps the brain alert, it helps keep the energy going, and it helps build the connection. And the final tip I will give you for today, or for now, is, I don't know if you've noticed through the recording, but look at the camera, not at the screen.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the camera, you can create a sense of eye contact. When you look at the screen, you can see the face of the person that you're talking to, but the person that you're talking to no longer has that sense of eye contact. But don't stare at the camera all the time, because that would be like staring at somebody on public transport, and that feels a bit weird.
And you know,
so where is your camera?
I'm so very conscious of this now. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, where have I been looking? Have I been looking in the right direction? I'm not sure that I have. Oh no, what's this podcast going to end up looking like? Hey, I don't claim to be a pro on camera myself, but I'm learning from one of the very best, and this is good news.
Can I just interrupt? Can I just pick you up on something there, Emily? It's what you've just done is exactly what everybody does when they're in camera. I didn't know that. I'm worried about this, and that's that story going in your head with the eye contact thing. Remember that when we are talking to somebody in person, we're not looking at them all the time. Our eyes do roam. So, but yeah, don't get hung up on the thing that you think you haven't been doing, because actually you're really good at it. And I noticed that when we were talking the other day. So it's just letting your eyes go to those different locations.
I just wanted another compliment. That's all it was, Sarah. Just hoping for you to say something else that's really nice. So yes, mission accomplished there. I'm still reeling from that statistic you said about the 50% energy loss through the screen. That is extraordinary. So if we feel like we're really over egging it, we're actually not in a virtual environment. So if you feel uncomfortable, if you feel like you're gesticulating too much, or if you feel like you're too animated, actually, hey, don't worry about it, because it won't come across the screen.
And this explains why sometimes, and this might be another thing that your audience might be doing, is like, let's say they're running a webinar and they spent ages preparing the webinar, and they've got 10, 15 people coming in and joining the webinar, and then they watch it and they think, God, they get to the end of it and they're like, well, that was really flat. Nobody joined in. Hardly anyone asked a question. And some of that is to do with the energy. It's not to do with the content, it's to do with the way you've presented it. So being aware that you do need to ramp it up, not in a over exaggerated way, not in a oh we're all doing fabulously well kind of way, but just be aware that you need to bring a bit more energy, a bit more spice. And if you are just sitting there reading PowerPoints, well,
Oh dear. Yeah.
just don't. I mean,
Just
that's another
don't.
conversation.
Yeah,
But just don't.
it is.
Don't.
Yeah. Oh, Sarah, honestly, this has been such a joyous conversation. I feel like I've learned loads from you today, and it's been a real pleasure for you to come on and to share not all, but some of the knowledge that you have. And I really, really think that it's going to be massively beneficial to the people listening. And I would love to hear from those of you who are listening, any tips of Sarah's that you've put into practice and had success with. Let me know, because I will pass on any comments to Sarah. I'll also put links to Sarah's socials and everything else into the show notes, so you can go and check her out directly and get in touch directly if that appeals as well. And yeah, I think it's just been a really, really fabulous conversation. We've actually spent longer on this podcast than we intended to, but that's okay, because it's been time's just run away with us, but I'm really glad. And so I just want to say thank you, Sarah, for coming in today. It's been a really lovely conversation, and you're welcome back anytime, let me say that. So thank you very much, and to those of you listening, have a lovely day. Take care.
Thank you.